The conversation of your life. Local, relevant, digital, and always on.
America will hear my 2 cents.
Elected to serve iHub radio listeners across the desert cities. He calls it as he sees it.
Quick question.
Now, here's Russ Betts.
Someone answer him now!
You know, you can't help but notice there's campaign signs starting to go up, and one of the campaign signs I noticed is for our guest today. And we are very happy to have him with us in the studio. He's a candidate for the City Council in Desert Hot Springs, and joining us is Jim Fitzgerald. Jim, welcome to the Russ Betts Show.
Well, thank you, Russ. I appreciate the invitation, and happy birthday.
Oh, well, thank you very much. So there's another one. I'm collecting birthday wishes. So, okay, Jim, let's get into it. Again, happy to have you here. We got some questions. We're asking the same questions to any candidate that comes in, so we're going to go down the list. The first one's an easy one. Why are you running for City Council?
You know, I came back to Desert Hot Springs a year and a half ago to sell a couple of houses and a couple of lots that I inherited, that my father and I built 30 years ago here. And I was amazed at the lack of progress that was here in Desert Hot Springs. You know, I mean, the last time I was here was 15 years ago. And driving up Palm Drive, I just couldn't believe how much prosperity hadn't happened in this city. You know, once I got these houses sold, all of a sudden, I didn't have anything to do. And people started saying, well, why don't you run? You're so interested in this city, and you're so, you know, I mean, I've got 35 years of retail experience, middle and upper management. You know, why don't you put that knowledge into helping the city and run for city council? And, I mean, I thought about it. I thought about it for months. It's a big commitment. You know, you're talking 4 years, but this is a great city that is poised to really do something, I think. You know, yeah, the cannabis business is coming into town, and certainly that's a boost. Yet, I just think with that help, and my experience in retail, that we could fill up Palm Drive with retail businesses, and that's pretty much. And I talk to people. I mean, I must have talked to 300-400 people, citizens of Desert Hot Springs. I give them my card. Hi, I'm Jim Fitzgerald, running for City Council, and it's amazing to me, actually surprising, because when I did decide to become a councilman, I thought, boy, I'm going to be walking up to people and, like you just said, knocking on doors and stuff. And what's the reaction going to be? And I was actually pleasantly surprised at how their face enlightened, their eyes got giddy, and they said, oh, really? Thank you for your card. And then wanted to talk about issues. And when I talked about retail, they just, you know, I asked them, what do you want to what kind of stores do you want to see on Palm Drive or just in the city? You know, and I got a lot of answers. You know, Applebee's, you know, In-N-Out Burger, Chili's, you know, that Steak and Shake. One guy said, you know, I got to drive all the way up to Yucca to get a Steak and Shake. You know, why don't we have one here? Yucca's got a third less population than we do, yet they've got a Russ apparel store. They got a Home Depot. They got a Walmart. They got car dealerships. I mean, they got twice the retail that we do. We could support. We've almost got 30,000 people now living in the city. We can support at least twice the retail. Why go some other city to go buy something? Why not buy it here? And that's what I'm hearing on the street.
What's going to be your particular focus? I'll ask the question.
Well, I mean, it's how to get that done. Okay, I mean, there's plans we can do, and I brought it down. I think there's 4 things we need to do in the city to bring in retail. The first thing is we need to come up with an incentive program where the city council, the mayor, we get together and we come up with a package that we can introduce to retailers. And that package needs to be some kind of an incentive program where we're giving them, okay, here's who we are, and here's a package, here's an incentive program, which, you know, allows it to be a reduction or even a complete waiver of development procedures. You know, the planning, building, inspection part. That's expensive. So in other words, say an Applebee wants to come into our city, once we introduce this package and then they want to come into the city, what's this going to do for them?
You're talking about waiving the fees, not waiving the inspections.
It's not waiving the inspection, it's waiving the fees. And say a 5,000 square foot retail spot, in the startup costs, you're looking at about a savings of maybe $10,000. That's a nice incentive, where maybe these other cities down south are not doing that in our valley. So that helps bring them in. The next step, and even the same step even, would be that the city needs to have a package. They need to have a plan. When I opened up and started up new retail businesses, one of them, the biggest one, some of them were small, a lot of them were small, 2,000, 3,000 square foot locations. The biggest one was an 80,000 square foot location in the north suburb of Chicago for Wicks Furniture. And one of the things that had to be done, and when I came back to the presidents and the vice president of Wicks Furniture, they wanted to know, okay, so here's a nice incentive package, fine. Now what else, what's the city going to be like to deal with? And that was huge. So that's the second part of it. The city needs to be business friendly. They need to have a package of their how to get it done, who to talk to. In other words, that you have to have a go-to person in the city. You have to have someone who you call the phone and they answer. You have to have an email in this department, that department, so that when there is an inspection scheduled, that person's going to show up. It's very important. Once a business decides to do business in a community, they need time's money. If they're going to make, say an Applebee's going to make $200,000 a month, $300,000 a month, that's what they're projecting. If it takes 3 months, okay, to get it done, that's efficient. If it takes 4 months or 5 months or 6 months, that's $200,000 a month that they're losing. So before they make that investment, they're going to want to know, how is that city, how easy is it to work with that city? So that's the other part of it. The third part of it is crime. We really gotta do everything to try to minimize crime. I mean, every city's got that issue today, but the small petty crimes, they don't want people to have get robbed in their parking lots and stuff like that. So we need to really continue to improve the crime. I think that our chief has done a great job getting, really fixing the major crimes in this city. But maybe we need to focus a little bit more, or just continue to focus on the petty, especially up and down Palm Drive. The fourth issue is the vacant retail spots on Palm Drive or even in the city. When a retailer comes into a city, they're going to get turned off by seeing empty retail buildings. So we got to get a hold of those landlords. We got to communicate with those landlords. We got to figure out the issue. And in reality, out of those four things, that might be the most challenging. From what I understand, those landlords, we don't even know where they are, and they won't answer our phone calls. So those are the four issues that I'm confident will really bring retail into the city.
We're talking to Jim Fitzgerald. He's a candidate for Desert Hot Springs City Council. This is the Russ Show on iHub, and more to come.